Hey, what's up, guys? Jeff here, a fine card collector, or Jetto31. Still trying to figure that one out. Jetto31 has been my YouTube name since I started YouTube. And then when I first created my first videos last week, I figured I got to change my name to something more sports card related. And so I came up with a fine card collector. And that's kind of a play as kids. You know, my friends and I, we used to say that we were fine card collectors, you know, as a play on a fine art collector. And, you know, I couldn't think of anything more clever, so I figured I would just go with that. But, you know, YouTube wouldn't let me change my name, and so it's kind of a combination of Jetto31, a fine card collector. I'll probably lose the Jetto once they allow me to. I think I need to wait another 10 days or so. But regardless, if you're watching this video, thank you. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If you watched my previous videos, and if this is your first time here, thank you for coming by. I hope you enjoy. But if you watched my past videos, you've seen that I've shown some of my pickups along the way, and I've talked about what I collect, but I've never really showed any of my collection. So today I figured I'd show part of my collection, and I'm going to probably show off the best part of my collection, or start it off with a bang, because I'm going to show my Mickey Mantles that I have. And I don't have his 51 Bowman. I don't have his rookie. You know, I don't have his 52 Tops. I don't have any of his, you know, the best of his cards. But I feel like I have a pretty nice Mantle collection. And I wanted to show it off because I typically like to try to pick up a Mantle every year, you know, and his cards are expensive, and you know, when you end up picking up a Mantle card, you know, that's just takes away from some other things that I collect. So, but it's been a year since I picked up a Mantle. I picked up my last Mantle, and I actually bought two at last year's National in Cleveland. So I'll show those and talk about those. But it's been about a year. I'm watching a Mantle on eBay right now, debating if I'm going to pull the trigger or not. But I wanted to, since I had and I had to check, like, you know, I only thought I had 11 Mantles, and I was like, I don't think I have this card. So I went in, I pulled them out. I was like, okay, I don't have it. And then I thought, you know what? I should make a video showing my Mantles. And I'll start off doing this, and then I'll show some other cards in some other videos of my collection, just so, you know, just to share with what I collect and what I have. And then, so it makes, you know, what I end up buying, it makes sense, right? You guys can kind of follow my journey as I'm buying cards and adding cards to a collection I already have. So I figured I should share some of my stuff. And so I'll do that. And then also at the end of the video, I'll talk about a Mantle that got away. And it's probably my biggest regret in my sports card collecting journey of letting this card go. So I will talk about that. And the last thing I want to mention is, you know, I've talked a few times about how over the years I've bought and sold cards. You know, once I got back into collecting as an adult in 2008, I bought and sold. I finally sold off the last of my graded stuff in probably 2020. And the only graded cards that I kept in my collection were whatever Mantles that I had. I probably had maybe 5 or no, I think I had more than that. But those were just cards where I told myself if I never get back into collecting again, and I still want these Mantle cards. Because when I was a kid, Mickey Mantle cards was just something I never thought I would own. You know, I was buying all sorts of cards. I tried to buy a little bit of vintage here and there when I could, but Mickey Mantle was just never a card I thought I would ever own. And so when I bought my first one as an adult, you know, I remember that thing coming in the mail and just staring at it for probably 10 minutes, looking up just looking at the front and the back of that card, staring at that thing. So the Mantle cards are really special to me because, again, it's just something I never thought I would really own. And now having them, I take a lot of pride in ownership of these Mantle cards. So I'll start showing these cards. Like I said, here's my stack here of my Mantles. And I will show them off. I'll start with the newest Mantle and work my way back. So the first one I have, and we'll see how this holds up with glare. I took them all out of the sleeves, so hopefully they show up a little bit better. Not really with the blinds in the background, but This is the 68 Topps Mantle. I love this design. This is the newest Mantle I have in his playing days. I love, the image on the card. There's a few Mantles that I wouldn't say I love. I like all Mantle cards, and I want all Mantle cards, all of his playing days cards. My two least favorite of his cards would be his 67 Topps and his 62 Topps. Those are just big images of his face. It's not my favorite image of Mantles, so I've held off on buying those, which I actually will need. Again, I want all of Mantle's cards, but I will need those because they're part of the 300 Great Baseball Cards of the 20th Century set, and so those are cards that are in the near future for me. So, anyways, that was the 68. Next Mantle up. Also love the image on this one. His 66 Topps. Great card. Man, I got to find a good spot where I can't really see much glare, but may not happen. But I love the image on the 66 Topps. Beautiful card. And there's that. Next one up. This is a cheap one. This is a very inexpensive one. I think I bought this for $60 when I paid for it. I think it's a little bit more expensive now, but definitely on the cheaper end of Mantle cards. So it's the 65 Topps, Mantle's clutch home run in the World Series. Great Mantle card. Next one up. This is a recent purchase. This is also part of the 300 Great Baseball Cards of the 20th Century. It's a picture of him and Willie Mays on it, so it's a beautiful card. And it is the 1962 Topps Manager's Dream, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays. Great card, beautiful card. Totally would make sense why it's in the 300 Great Baseball Cards of the 20th Century set. Man, there is just not a good spot to show this without glare. But great card. All right. Next one up. This was a national purchase for me last year. I went into the National wanting to pick up a Mantle card. Saw this one. I always loved this Mantle. I wanted this Mickey Mantle. I love this year, this set. I know it's not everybody's favorite from the 60s, but it's one of my, probably a top 2 or 3 set for me in the 60s. And this card is centered beautifully. So I saw it. I made the seller an offer. He accepted it. And I love it. Very, very happy. Beautiful centering on this card as well. Probably can't see it too well, of course, because of my glare here. God, it's just so bad. But that Mantle, beautiful card. Okay. Another Mantle I love. Great card, great set. Probably my other top 3 favorite set in the 1960s. And this one is the 65 Topps Mickey Mantle. Beautiful card. Beautiful, beautiful card. Okay, here's my the second Mantle that I picked up at the National. This is the last card I picked up at the National. I think it was actually this Saturday. We didn't go. My buddy and I did not go on Sunday. Saturday was the last day we went, and I picked this up at, I think it was the trade night after the National, and it was from probably a 13-year-old kid. He had his stack of cards there spread out, and he had all his stuff was modern except this one card. So I feel like he was really, I don't feel like he was a vintage collector, and he was trying to get rid of this thing. So he gave me a good deal on it, and I love this Mantle as well. It's beautiful, and the centering is really great on this card as well. So this is the 1954 Topps, 59 Topps Mickey Mantle with really, really great centering. Beautiful card. All right, next one up. This was the first Mantle card that I bought. It's not the first Mantle card, I ever owned. It's a funny story, interesting story. And it's a story that I'll get into a little bit at the end of this video. That goes along with, you know, my biggest regret, the mantle that I ended up selling and getting rid of that I wish I would have kept. But this was the one that I bought, my first one, and when it showed up, I just stared at it for 10 minutes or so. But this is the 1958 All-Star, Topps All-Star Mickey Mantle. And this was, you know, I bought this, again, years ago. I don't know what year I bought this. It's in the Lighthouse holder, so I guess it couldn't have been that old. I think the Lighthouse holders were maybe 2017 or so, so I think it's probably around there. But I bought this in a 7. You know, none of my other mantles are graded that high, but it was cheap. You know, it was a cheap 7. I think I paid about $150 for it. And actually what I'm contemplating doing is getting rid of this one. So selling this one, buying a little bit better of a centered version of it. And then, you know, in a lower grade, you know, and maybe a 4 or a 5, but one that's centered really nicely, and then just taking the extra money from this. Not that it's going to be that much, but and putting that towards some other cards that I want. But anyways, love that mantle as well. All right, the next one, really great card. 57 Topps. Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Yankees power hitters. Great card. Love that card. All right, and this is probably my favorite mantle. I wanted this card. When I bought this card, I definitely overpaid a little bit in comparison for what this card and other grades was going for. But this is one of those cards where I feel like centering is really important. This set, if centering is off, it really takes away from the eye appeal, in my opinion. I think there's certain sets where I'm not too worried about centering very much, but this is one of them that I am. And so I wanted this card. This is my favorite mantle card. I wanted a nice centered copy of this card, and I saw this one and overpaid for it. But now, luckily, you know, because mantles just seem to keep going up in price, this one is worth more than I paid, so it's great. But this one is the 1957 Topps Mickey Mantle. Oh, and this one also has the infamous PWCC sticker on the back, the above average PWCC sticker, which I totally forgot it has that thing. Big deal. But it's a beautiful card. Again, centered beautiful. I love this card very, very much. All right. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Next one up. I'm glad I bought this when I did. You know, this is one card. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but eBay used to offer, they used to throw these coupons at you. They'd send you a 20% off coupon with a max discount of like $100 or $200. And they don't do it anymore. I don't think they've done it since before COVID. And so what I used to do when they did this is I would go on, you know, when people have cards up for buy it now, more often than not, it's overpriced, right? It's more than comps. So what was great about this is you can go on and you can find that card that you've been looking for. You know, say I'd always try to buy in like the $500 price range, because then you can get, you know, you could find a card for that $500, you can get the 20% off, and you're paying $400 for the card. And so usually you can get the card then with that coupon cheaper than what the comps we're going for the same card. So this is one of those. I think when I bought this card, I think it was around $500, or maybe I paid $500 for it. Comps might have been a little bit lower, maybe in the $450 range, but I purchased it for $500. I got the 20% off. I paid $400, where comps were like $450. So it was a great buy, because now it's a lot more expensive than that. And this is obviously one of the favorites of mantle collectors, and mine as well. It's a beautiful card, but it's the 1956 Topps Mickey Mantle. Beautiful card, beautiful image. Just love it. All right, the next one. One of my favorite sets from the 50s. It's the 55 Bowman set. I love these images of the TVs and the players. And so this was a card that I wanted for a long time. And so I picked this up. So here we are, the 1955 Bowman Mickey Mantle. Love how this card's centered left to right. It's great. I think up and down is beautiful as well. Just love this image on the card. Love the throwback to the 50s. So very fitting for that decade. All right, 2 cards left. Next one I have is the 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle. This was an early Bowman card, or this was an early card I've got of Mantle 2. I'll talk about this one a little bit more when I get into the conversation of the card that I regret selling. But this is also kind of goes in line with that. But beautiful card, beautiful image. I love this set as well, the 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle. All right, in my last Mantle, this set is the pictures are just amazing and beautiful in this set. I love this set. I bought this card a while back too. When it's a low grade, but this card is expensive. Luckily I bought this when I did. But for its grade, it looks beautiful. There's a tiny little crease in the corner, in the top right-hand corner of this card. But other than that, nothing really takes away. Centered pretty well. Love this card. The 1953 Bowman color Mickey Mantle. Just a beautiful, beautiful card. Okay. Put those off to the side. So that's my Mantle collection. I don't have any other player runs. I don't do player runs, but he's the only one. And every time I pick up a Mantle, it's a special day. So with that being said, the story that I have, the biggest regret that I have in my sports collecting journey, is probably back in 2014, I would say. Maybe 2013, I was in Chicago visiting family, and I went into a card shop, and I was in the card shop looking around, and these 2 kids came in, and these 2 kids had a whole collection of cards that they had said, and I overheard them talking, and they were telling the shop owner that their father passed away, and he left them these cards, and they lived up in Michigan or something like that, and they wanted to get rid of them. They weren't card collectors, and they were looking to sell them. I don't know why they drove down to Chicago, but that was their story. And I remember I wasn't paying too close attention. I had overheard that, and I saw some of the cards, and they were all older cards, vintage cards, and they had a lot of football and baseball and things like that. And I ended up leaving. So I ended up leaving. One of the kids came out after me, and he had asked me, he said, hey, we're trying to sell these cards to this card shop. He's like, we don't know anything about them. He's like, he's offering us $500, but we don't know if that's a good deal or not. Do you know anything about cards? Would you be able to take a look at them for me? So I was interested, right? And so I started looking through them, and they had this chest full of stuff, and I couldn't go through everything. And from what I saw, there was a bunch of old cards. They had a bunch of autographs. I did see, they had a Carl Yastrzemski rookie autographed. They had a 58 Topps Willie Mays autographed. They had a 60 Topps Willie McCovey autographed. And then they had a bunch of 8x10 autos, Pete Rose, Mark McGuire, Mickey Mantle. They had a dual signed Willie Mays and Hank Aaron. So they had a bunch of cool stuff. And so I was looking through everything, and I was like, hey, how about I buy it from you? I'll offer you $1,000, And the card shop owner was offering him $500. I was taking a gamble, for me at the time, what was it, 11, 12 years ago. I mean, that was a lot of money for me. And so I offered them the $1,000. They ended up taking it. And man, what I found in there was some amazing, amazing things in there. Well worth the $1,000. You know, I can get into that maybe in another story, and this isn't actually even the most expensive thing that I found in there, but this was my favorite thing that I found in there. Inside there was a 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle card, and autographed. So an auto 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle. I remember pulling that card out and thinking like, no way this could be real. And so I ended up bringing it to a different card shop. I showed that card shop owner, and he was in awe. He was like, you need to send this thing in to PSA to get authenticated. And so I did. Came back authentic. Unfortunately, I should have had, it was beautiful. I mean, the card itself was probably only graded a 3. You know, if I had to guess, it was only graded a 3, but the autograph was beautiful on it. It was a blue Sharpie. It was gorgeous. I mean, I guarantee it would have graded a 9 or a 10. And at the time, you know, I kind of laugh at autograph grading. I know there's probably a lot of guys out there that think it's really important and want their autographs graded. To me, it just seems like I don't need somebody to tell me what the autograph grade is. You know, it's like the card, a little bit different, sure. Grade the card, autograph, I don't really care about that. But I ended up sending the card into PSA, came back authentic, you know, and that's all I wanted to do was just get it authenticated and the signature authenticated. And it was. So there was no grade on it for the signature or the card itself. Ended up putting that card up for sale in a memory lane auction and ended up selling for $1,000. And this was back in, you know, 2014. Yeah, I think it was still that year, 2013, 2014, because I didn't have it for very long. I contemplated keeping that card just because I knew it would probably never be a card I bought again. But ended up selling that card in a memory lane auction, and it went for $1,000. I was very, very disappointed. And maybe that was the going rate at that time for that card, or maybe it should have been just graded, you know, and the auto graded. But now when I look up that card, you know, I see them on eBay and they're selling for like 20. Well, I shouldn't say they're selling for. They have them listed for, you know, somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 or more. And so I'll try to throw up an image, you know, through my new editing skills. I'll try to throw an image up of, I don't have an image of the exact card, but I have a very close, I could pull a photo from eBay or so, a very close resemblance of what the card was. So if I could get one, I'll pop it up in one of the corners of this video. But man, I mean, I that is the biggest regret I have in, you know, my card collecting journey as an adult, is being lucky enough to come across that card, finding that card, and then just getting rid of it. You know, at the time, you know, I needed the money for other things. And but if that's something I had now, you know, it would be a card I would cherish forever, and I would never sell it again. So maybe one of these days, who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll be able to buy one again, but probably unlikely. So, anyways, that's it for today. I wanted to just kind of show the Mickey Mantle cards that I do have in my collection, because I've shown a bunch of not a bunch, but I've showed some modern pickups recently, and I haven't showed any vintage cards for my collection. So that's my Mantle collection right now. If I end up picking up this Mantle I'm watching, I'll show it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna end up bidding on it or not. And then, you know, I'll make some more videos as I get some cards in the mail. I'll make some videos on those, and I'll show some other parts of my collection as we go. So thank you all again for watching, and until next time.